That cold stab from the gang killed not only the man she loved most, but also the only emotional support this terminally ill woman had left. After suffering such a devastating loss, the woman remained strangely calm. The gangsters even thought she had been scared senseless. But they had forgotten that those who have already lost everything are often the ones with nothing left to fear. The following day, she carried a heavy black bag straight into the gang's headquarters. The men inside were still eating, drinking, and celebrating. None of them noticed the pair of murderous eyes watching from the doorway. She stepped inside and locked the door behind her. Today, only one side would be walking out alive.
우리 합석할까?
족발 치워 새끼야.
Today, we are covering the incredible South Korean movie Night in Paradise. The film was written and directed by Park Hoon-young, the director behind New World, The Witch, and I Saw the Devil, so its quality speaks for itself. The fearless young woman is named Jae-yeon. She grew up relying on her uncle, Kuto, as her only family. On the surface, Kuto operates a farm, but behind the scenes, he is an arms dealer. Growing up in that environment turned Jae-yeon into an exceptional shooter. Even when firing one-handed, she can hit 9 bottles out of 10. But bottles are not the only thing she points her gun at. Sometimes, she places the barrel against her own head. Jae-yeon is the kind of person who no longer cares whether she lives or dies. The man beside her, who is clearly terrified by her behavior, is the movie's male lead, Tae-gu. Tae-gu may not rely on guns, but when it comes to using a knife, few people in the underworld can match him. As the second in command of Boss Yang's organization in Seoul, his skill and reputation are known by everyone. The rival Bukseon gang has tried repeatedly to recruit him, but Tae-gu values loyalty and refuses to switch sides. For years, he has remained completely devoted to his boss, Yang Do-soo. But Boss Yang is nothing more than a hypocrite hiding behind a friendly face. Afraid that Tae-gu might eventually defect, Yang secretly orders his men to cause the car crash that kills Tae-gu's sister and young niece. At their funeral, he even pretends to grieve and places all the blame on the Bukseon gang. Blinded by rage, Tae-gu arranges a private meeting with Chairman Do, the leader of the Bukseon gang. Chairman Do meets him openly because he still hopes to recruit Tae-gu. That gives Tae-gu the perfect opportunity to attack him and take what he believes is revenge for his family.
태구야, 네 형님. 네가 우리 다 살린 거다.
Afterward, Boss Yang arranges for Tae-gu to hide on Jeju Island with Kuto until the situation settles down. With the Bukseon gang seemingly left without a leader, Boss Yang immediately gathers his men and tries to seize its territory. The battle is not fought with gunfire. Instead, the gangsters clash with knives and metal clubs. South Korea has extremely strict gun laws. A fight involving blades may still be treated as an ordinary gang conflict, but once firearms are used, the case becomes much more serious and heavily armed police units may intervene. At that point, no one involved would be able to continue doing business. That is why guns appear far less often in Korean gangster movies. But Boss Yang badly overestimates the ability of his men. Not only does the Bukseon gang's most dangerous enforcer, Director Ma, survive the attack, but Chairman Do was also rescued and remains alive.
네가 갑자기 뭘 처먹었길래 그러고 간이 배 밖으로 기어나왔는지 모르겠는데 좀만 기다려봐. 그 안에 뭐가 들었는지 내가 널 산채로 갈라서 직접 확인해 볼 참이니까.
Boss Yang immediately begins to panic. He knows exactly how ruthless Director Ma can be. The Bukseon gang soon launches a savage counterattack, leaving Boss Yang's organization with devastating losses. Terrified of being killed, Boss Yang turns to Captain Park, a corrupt police officer he has bribed for years. He begs Park to act as a mediator and convince the Bukseon gang to spare him. Captain Park wants to maintain stability in the underworld, especially now that he has recently been promoted. He arranges a meeting with Director Ma.
할 생각이래 진짜. 양 사장 저 새끼 찐 붙은 라인이 내 위로도 있는 거 알지? 만약에 당신이 저 새끼 제끼면은 여럿 피곤해지는 거야 진짜.
The quickest way to end the conflict is for Boss-yeon to hand Tae-gu over as a scapegoat.
이 모든 사단은 그 박태구 새끼가 혼자서 순전히 개인적으로다가 그렇게 하시자고. 동의들 하셔?
Boss-yeon agrees without hesitation and betrays his most loyal man once again.
마 이사님은 이 중재안이 마음에 드시나?
뭐 마음에는 안 들지만 그렇게 합시다.
Far away on Jeju Island, Tae-gu knows nothing about the deal. He continues waiting faithfully for instructions from his boss. Around this time, Tae-gu sees Jae-yeon suddenly collapse inside the car. Only after taking her to the hospital does he learn that she is terminally ill. Kudo accepted Tae-gu and continued dealing weapons because he needed money to send Jae-yeon to the United States for treatment. The possibility of recovery is extremely small, but it is the only hope keeping Kudo going. When Jae-yeon wakes up, she ignores her condition and immediately begins changing her clothes so she can leave. She does not treat Tae-gu like a stranger at all. Many viewers may see the scene as nothing more than fan service, but the director is suggesting something deeper.
가도 돼요. 안 달아.
Jae-yeon knows she is dying. To her, ideas like gender, modesty, and social etiquette have already lost their meaning.
밥 먹으러 갈래요?
저기 나는 괜찮아. 난 운전하고 그래야 돼.
아이, 그러니까 한 잔만 쭉 해보라고. 그리고 여기는 음주 단속 안 해. 내가 여기 살면서 음주 단속하는 거 한 번도 본 적이 없거든.
진짜 입만 되셨나 보네. 그래도 살살 몰고 가셔요.
예. 저 근데요.
되신 것 같은데 어떻게 좀 해주시죠.
에헤이, 거참. 저 혼자 술 다 마셨구만, 저.
Meanwhile, Kudo returns to the farm early to complete an arms deal. What he does not know is that the buyers have become greedy and are planning to kill him and steal both the weapons and the money. But they have forgotten that Kudo was once a dangerous man himself. When Tae-gu and Jae-yeon return to the farm, they suddenly hear gunshots coming from the warehouse. Without that warning, the killers might have ambushed them as well. Kudo desperately tries to escape with the money, but one of the gunmen waiting at the entrance shoots him dead.
야!
Seeing her only family member killed before her eyes, Jae-yeon grabs a gun and begins firing wildly.
됐어, 그만해. 가자. 저 새끼도 금방 다시 올 거야.
13,000원.
형님 죽었잖아.
As the situation spirals out of control, Tae-gu is forced to carry the hysterical Jae-yeon away. While they are driving, Jae-yeon struggles desperately to return to her uncle. Then her illness suddenly attacks again. Tae-gu searches for her medication, but he has no idea which one she needs. Jae-yeon continues fighting him throughout the drive. Only when Tae-gu stops the car beside the ocean does she finally calm down. After Jae-yeon wakes, the two find a small motel and stay there for the night. There, she finally tells Tae-gu what is on her mind.
같이 잘래? 나랑 자고 싶지 않아? 응. 괜찮아. 상관없어. 어차피 곧 죽을 텐데 뭐.
아, 미안하게 됐다. 아니, 나도 그 취향이라는 게 나도 있어가지고. 아니 뭐 난 뭐 그냥 뭐 아무나 자자고 하면 그냥 아무렇게나 뭐 내가 자고 뭐 그런 사람인 줄 알아? 무슨 자신감이야?
Tae-gu refuses her, but not because he feels nothing for her. His sister died because of his life in the underworld. Tae-gu believes he has no right to reach for anything warm or beautiful. He also refuses to take advantage of Jae-yeon while she is at her most vulnerable. The following morning, Tae-gu receives a call from Boss-yeon, who says they should meet at the airport. Jae-yeon tries to stop him from going.
가지마. 이상하지 않아? 다른 사람들 아무하고도 연락이 안 된다며. 그냥 가지마. 불안해. 그리고 나 혼자 있는 거 싫어.
금방 다녀올게.
Tae-gu also senses that something is wrong, but in the end, he still heads to the airport. After arriving, Tae-gu receives a call from his close friend Jin-sung. Jin-sung warns him that Boss Yeon is setting a trap and begs him not to trust their boss. But before Jin-sung can finish speaking, he is captured. Tae-gu tries to leave the airport, only to come face to face with Boss Yeon. He immediately turns and runs while Yang's men chase after him. As the second in command of the organization, Tae-gu is no ordinary gangster. He fights his way through the airport and successfully escapes in a car. But the gangsters continue following him like parasites. Eventually, they force his vehicle to stop on the highway. Dozens of armed men surround the car and launch their attack. With nothing more than a car key, Tae-gu fights them inside the vehicle and takes down several attackers. He eventually grabs one man as a hostage and drives away. Tae-gu immediately calls Jae-yeon, but by then, she has returned to the farm to recover Kuto's body. Tae-gu tells her to leave immediately, but Jae-yeon refuses to listen. She knows Kuto entered the arms trade to pay for her treatment, and that decision ultimately cost him his life. The guilt forces her to return, even if she dies. She wants to perform one final act of respect for her uncle. As a result, the Bukson gang captures her. They use Jae-yeon to threaten Tae-gu. He has 1 hour to come to them, or they will kill her.
대신 약속해라. 그 여자애랑 진성이는 살려주는 거다.
오케이. 서둘러라. 1시간이다. 너 죽기 전에 보너스 하나 줄게.
Tae-gu soon walks into the trap alone. The moment he arrives, the gangsters at the entrance beat him viciously. Only after leaving him barely conscious do they drag him inside. Seeing Tae-gu in that condition fills Jae-yeon with unbearable pain. Director Ma then delivers the surprise he promised. He tells Tae-gu that Boss Yeon was the person who ordered the deaths of his sister and niece. The revelation destroys Tae-gu from the inside. He believed he had avenged his family. In reality, he had spent all this time serving the very man who murdered them. That psychological collapse is even more painful than being cut down by a dozen knives. After allowing Tae-gu and Boss Yeon to turn on each other, Director Ma orders his men to continue attacking Tae-gu. Director Ma then steps forward to finish everything.
진짜 마음 같아서 저 개새끼 저거 너 갈 때 같이 데려가라고 선물로 주고 싶긴 한데 저 양아치 새끼가 죽으면 우리가 좀 곤란해져. 태구야, 이제 그만 계산 끝내자.
Tae-gu dies filled with rage and regret. As for Jae-yeon, Director Ma promised Tae-gu that she would be spared. He keeps his word. After setting the place on fire, the Bukson gang leaves, but they have no idea that the seemingly fragile woman they left alive will soon come for every one of them. Not long after they leave, Jae-yeon calls a friend and asks where the gangsters are eating. She then rides her scooter to the restaurant. The gangsters assume she has only come for breakfast. Not one of them sees a young woman as a serious threat, but they have no idea what a person becomes after losing absolutely everything. To prepare for this brutal final shootout, actress Jae-yeon trained with firearms for months. The way she holds the weapon and fires without blinking comes from muscle memory built through endless practice. Within moments, Jae-yeon wipes out nearly everyone inside the restaurant. Director Ma never imagined that his moment of mercy would lead to this.
그래, 그러고 보니까 네가 아저씨하고 계산할 게 있었네.
Finally, only the despicable Boss Yeon remains. Jae-yeon empties 2 bursts of gunfire into him before calmly walking away. The time they sat together on the beach, staring silently into the distance. The time she tried to take her own life with a gun, but this time, the gun is actually loaded.
Feeling like I'm trapped in my damn mind. Tell the feeling like I'm rapping a damn lie. Tell the feeling like my life is a damn game.